Hi, Josh. I hope you're doing well. Thank you for reaching out to me. I know it's been a long time since I've seen you, but your golf swing's still pretty high level here. So I just want to help you clean up one thing in your swing, and it's based on the email that you sent me. You've always felt like you did not have enough rotation of the lower body in the downswing, and you always felt like there was a bit of a high rate of closure, if you will, kind of through impact and kind of that flippy feeling or look as the club goes around the corner. And um, I don't think it's the issues that you think it is, and I just kind of want to provide some clarity on that for you. So when you think about the rate of closure of that club face, there's a couple of different components there that um, help us control that. So first of all, like you mentioned, yes, there has to be some level of rotation of the body, and as we get older, that begins to slow down more and more and more, and so we tend to see the rate of closure increase. So therefore, obviously there's going to be a little bit more timing related to our swing, but there are some things fundamentally and structurally that we can do to kind of slow that down and help facilitate a little bit more rotation. So in your case, it's pretty simple, the issue going on in your swing, and it's nothing structurally related to your backswing. You kind of roll the club a little bit inside here, but I have a lot of players who play great from there, so that's not necessarily a problem or an issue. You get the shaft a little bit flat going back, but again, not necessarily an issue. Nearing the top here, you add a little bit of supination to the lead forearm, and it gets the club kind of settling a little bit across the line at the top. And again, not necessarily an issue. I have a lot of players who play great from there, so I'm not really interested in changing any of those things. Now, where I see the issue come into play for you is in the downstroke, there is not enough right lateral side bend. Okay? And essentially what I mean by that is the right shoulder getting closer to, say, the right hip in this area of the swing. Now, right side bend does a number of things for us. So number one, it keeps the hand path in. It helps to shallow the club. But it also helps us to get the shaft leaning a little bit more forward through impact, simply because the sweet spot is going to be lowering down closer to the ground in the downswing as you're adding right side bend. So to make that fit, the golfer would start to move that right elbow a little bit more kind of down in front of the right hip or the rib cage, and that would produce a little bit more shaft lean. And in your case, because you don't have very much right side bend, so say the distance from if we just simply looked at the distance between your right shoulder and your right hip socket, and then if we use DJ as an example over here, he's a player that we know, because he has such an elevated arm path and not a lot of depth in the backswing, he creates a lot of right side bend in the downstroke in an effort to lower that club down behind him. So if we kind of look at your body tilt and your body relationships there, I want you to note how kind of crunched up it looks right here. And if I had a directly behind him view, you would see the right hip and the right shoulder are very, very close together. And I'll show you a behind the view here in just a second. But that right side bend is the piece that you're missing here. Because the right side bend is going to get the right elbow a little bit more down in front of the rib cage, and it's going to get the handle more in front of you, or excuse me, leaning a little more forward. And we'll take a look here from the face-on view. It kind of shows up even a little bit better. So again, really good structure in your backswing. got no problems whatsoever with anything you're doing there. So I just want you to take a note of one thing. So if we look at your head position, and then we look at DJ's head position, when you start down, you will notice that the pressure is moving left, which is good. You've got pressure going into the left foot, the left knee starting to swivel this way, the hips are starting to move laterally, you're really getting that left shoulder is moving left, so you're getting nice pressure shift into that left side. The head's moving forward of that circle, and then as you get into impact, you'll notice that that head is still well forward of that circle. And because of that, you have to absolutely start straightening your right arm to reach the golf ball. And as you're straightening that right arm, and the reason you're straightening that right arm is because the right shoulder is still too high. There isn't enough right side bend. But if you watch DJ over here on the right, same move into the left side, head moves forward of the circle, but then all of a sudden, watch how his head starts moving back into that circle as he approaches impact. So because of that right lateral bend, you see the shaft in a much more forward condition than what you're demonstrating over here. And again, you don't have any shaft lean because your right arm is having to straighten, and your right arm is having to straighten because you don't have enough right side bend. So what I need you to feel is, from the top of your backswing, I actually want you to imagine that I put a club or something right here on the side of your face. You can do this at home in a doorway. So just take the door frame, and so the door frame would probably look like this. So just kind of put your face, let me draw that a little better than that. Just kind of put your face on the inside of a door frame, and I want you to feel a separation of your lower body and your upper body. So you're going to feel the pressure move to the left foot. You're going to feel the left knee swivel in this direction. You're going to feel the hips start to move laterally and rotate. You're going to feel the left shoulder move down and around and rotate. But your face is going to be, the left part of your face is going to be in that door frame, and it's not going to be able to move forward. So as you're coming down, the door frame will hold your head back, and what we'll start to see is some tilt of that spine early in the downswing. So we'll get that spine tilting just a little bit more in this direction. Now, what's going to happen is, because you're tilting, and we know that the swing, the club head's moving in a big circle here, because you're tilting back the spine in this direction, the low point of the swing arc is going to try to move back here behind the ball. And the only way that you're going to be able to not hit that fat is to continue to keep the radius of your swing arc, which is, the radius is the distance between your left arm and the club here. You're going to have to preserve this angle just a little bit longer to make that fit down here at the bottom. How will we do that? Well, we'll feel the right arm staying bent longer, and we won't release our wrist angles quite as fast. So, hopefully this gives you a clear picture of why you have seen a little bit of a faster overtaking rate, down here at the bottom, and a little bit of that, forearms rolling over in release pattern. It's not because you're not rotated enough. You're open. You're plenty open enough with your body. It's simply because your right shoulder has not lowered enough, because you don't have enough right side bend, and you haven't preserved the angle between the lead arm and the shaft long enough, because the right shoulder is staying too high. So hope this makes sense. give me a call or shoot me an email if you have any questions.